Well, the check engine light is on my 1999 Kia Sportage. So order this little gadget. It's the Gen 1 OBD2 code reader, and we're going to use that to find out what's going on. To get the software, all you have to do is go to your camera setting on your iPhone or pad or whatever, and just focus on this little place here like you would be taking a picture. You don't have to actually take the picture. It's going to open the website and download the software for it, the app, and it's called In-Car Dock. I also downloaded another app that was just called Kia, so we'll try both of those and see if either one of them can tell us what's going on. Okay, so here's our onboard diagnostic ports right down here below the steering wheel. And because of the way it's shaped, there's only one way it'll fit on there. So we're just going to stick that right on there. And the little lights came on. You probably couldn't see it from your angle, but little lights came on and flashed. So I'll take that as a good omen. And I don't know at this point if I just need to turn the ignition on or if I need to start it, but we'll find that all out here momentarily. Okay, so the code I got was P0101, which is mass airflow sensor. That's that little gadget right there. It's in your intake tube right behind the air filter, which is right there. And that's something that I've replaced a couple of times. It's been an ongoing situation with this car. It's I've cleaned it. I've had the connectors cleaned, replaced it. Sometimes I've done it. Sometimes I've had other people do it. But anyway, that's the code I got. I never was able to get the Kia OBD2 app to work, but the other app, In-Car Dock, that loaded automatically with the little reader device, did work. I had to go into settings and change my Wi-Fi. You know, have it look for that device and go to that on the Wi-Fi. And I did have to start it and then kill it, and at that point it went ahead and hooked up. You'll know when you're communicating because there will be a Christmas tree of lights going off on the little gadget rather than just a red one. So you might have to just play with it, you know. Sometimes on those readers like that, you just have to do different things until it finally works. But that's the code I got, and there's a whole list of parameters that went with it that I'll list in the description in case somebody else gets it. But the next thing we'll do now is take this off, and I got a can of cleaner here. Let's see. CRC MAF airflow sensor cleaner. So I actually haven't used that yet, so we'll give that a shot and hopefully get our little Sportage back on the road here. Alright, so we got our negative battery cable off because we're going to be messing around with sensors and things, and generally that's a good idea, you know, for anything you do on a car, unless it's one of the later models, because on some of the newer models, when you unplug that battery, it screws up a bunch of stuff. But this is a 99 model, so we don't have to worry about that. The next thing we're going to do is take off this plug right here. That's the MAF sensor right there that it's plugged into. And like most cars, it has that little clip that you can probably see there, a little spring clip. And there's probably a good way to get those off, but I have no idea what it is. I just poke at it with a little jeweler's flathead screwdriver and some needle nose until it finally comes off. And you want to make sure you get it back on there, because if a little connection comes loose like this on a car with an ECU, you know, it can drive you crazy just trying to figure out where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and get the clip off, unplug it, and then it's basically just a matter of Phillips head screwdriver, you know, to take the sensor out of the tube. So we'll get that done and I'll be right back. Alright, so we got our hose clamps loosened off and got this big hose off the front of it. It's kind of a pain because as vehicles get older, this rubber loses its elasticity, so you kind of got to work at it. But once I was in here, I noticed this is wet, which usually should not be. I think it's from where I used the intake cleaner, the Seafoam intake cleaner that you might have seen on one of my other videos. I think it's just some residue from that. It doesn't smell like gasoline, although it does have kind of a petroleum smell. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and clean that out. And the other thing I noticed when I started taking the airflow sensor off is it's not just a matter of taking these clamps off. Like I said, there's also two 10mm bolts that hold it on. So that's the beauty of doing things on video, because you know, you people don't see these mistakes, goof ups that I do. So anyway, we'll get those off and get that cleaned up, and then we'll be ready to use our cleaner on the airflow sensor. Alright, so there's our little retaining clip and the little flathead screwdriver I used. I just kind of got under one edge of it there, gave it a good prizing. And so here's our plug, and it should come right off just like that. So there's that part there. And so we get our Phillips screwdrivers and go ahead and get our sensor off. Alright, so here's our mass airflow sensor, the MAF sensor. It says Kia Motors on it, but I actually got this at Advanced Auto Parts back in 2014. And so that's not a long life for a MAF sensor at all. And I've driven just a little over 10,000 miles since then, so this should still be a good sensor. It's probably just gotten some contaminants on it, maybe from when I did the intake cleaning or something. They're going to have, here's the working part inside. They're going to have either a wire or a blade. You can see this is a blade. You definitely don't want to touch those with anything in any way. It's very delicate, because what this does is sense air coming in and test its density and a bunch of other stuff. I'm also going to spray this kind of grid area here just in case. Some of these things look clean, but once you start cleaning them and things, they're dirtier than they look. So there's the connector. So I probably won't be able to see what I'm going to do, because I've got to hold this with the other hand. And I've got my safety glasses on. I've got an old some packing material on the floor to catch, you know, what little of the cleaner gets away. And so it's and make sure you have your safety glasses on. Honestly, when you're dealing with stuff like this, the most dangerous time is when you're putting this red straw in. You can shoot yourself right in the face. And this one was especially hard to get in. Probably, you can see how bent it is. This is probably the hardest time I've ever had putting a little straw in. And I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't just shoot out the first time I try to spray it. But anyway, it's 10 to 15 bursts of, you know, like a half a second from 4 to 5 inches away. So I'm just going to do it, well, let's do the net side here just to kind of show how that works. Right on my garage door. That'd probably be all right. So that's it. It's just a little short burst like that, you know, and you want to make sure you get your, I'm going to scoot this back probably. You know, you want to make sure you get your blade clean and around in there. I don't think, I mean, I've seen some people use like a half a can spraying in there. I think the short bursts are probably better. You know, make sure you get your, these little contact points here too. It's going to be hard. Oh, got it on my camera. Okay. It's going to be hard, you know, to see it here because these are black, and so things aren't going to show up good. But anyway, that's the idea of it. So we'll get it cleaned up here and get it installed and see what happens. Okay, so we got our new, we got our sensor cleaned, and it said to wait until it dried, and I waited like 2 hours and it still looked kind of wet. and actually seemed kind of oily. But anyway, it's been about, I went ahead and installed it back on the car, and it's been about 6 hours now, so we're gonna fire it up here and see what happens. Okay, so 1,000 RPM, and in a few minutes it'll idle down to about 900. I kind of thought when I first started it up that it would idle real fast or slow or something, but it looks like it's going to just work right away. Not bad, it's like I always said. Like the battery is made on the code, so technical test drive and hope for this. Okay, so here's our OBD2 port, the onboard diagnostic port. Let's delete that.